almost 9 o'clock on the dot. It's still hot in my house. I'm trying to like moderately run the AC, but I mowed today and I got sunburnt. And so y'all, I'm just hot this evening. And I got stung by something too. But I'm just hot this evening. So I've been on the porch playing with the kitties and feeding the kitties and trying to chill out for a minute. And I thought, I'm going to go live because when I was sitting on the porch, I was watching Timcast. And I saw something on Timcast that I thought I would never overtly see. Hi, Denise. So I saw something on Timcast I thought I would never just overtly see, and it was absolute stupidity. I never thought I would see just absolute downright stupidity on Timcast, but I did. I'm in my little summer dress. It was hot here today, y'all. So y'all know that everybody's talking about this baby food shortage, right? It's like no secret at this point. I did a video on it the other day where I was trying to share some logic that had to be shared with me by my doctors when my son was a baby, because he was deathly allergic to every formula they made. And so one thing that has been really fun about watching this is I've actually kind of played this little social experiment and kept like a percentage and marked if I received an angry, neutral, or positive response. So I've been sharing this old-timer recipe that I had to use when I had little ones because my son was allergic to all formulas. And people have responded 86% of the time negatively. Hi, Gypsy. 86% of the time negatively. Only like 3% neutral, like thanks. I remember that. My mom ate that. And then about 10-11% has been positive. Like, oh, yeah, that's great. I had to use this once when my milk didn't come in, And so I'm watching Timcast, and they're talking about this, and they pan to Lydia. I love Lydia. I love Lydia. I think she's just a sweet, well-rounded individual, and I really like Lydia. But they pan to Lydia, and I look to Lydia as like, okay, you're our next generation of females. Please be smart. And she's like, well, you have to feed your baby formula because children need all those nutrients. Children, they have the other that's like canned milk and water and Karo syrup. That sounds so healthy. But children need all those nutrients that's been made into that formula. And they can't get that in the homemade. You're going to have children with huge health issues. And I'm like, Lydia, as smart as you are, do you not know that when you use the homemade formula, you also went to the store and bought the liquid vitamin drops? And they had a ratio that you put that into the mixture. Yeah, polyvisol. And I'm like, please stop being stupid. Please stop thinking that anyone that's older than you or anyone that does anything different than you is doing it inadequately, because it's not being done inadequately. And people going, you're giving your child Karo syrup. What do you think the sugars broke down in the formula are? Sugar? Probably some really unhealthy sugars compared to Karo syrup. And it is like 2 teaspoons or 2 tablespoons to like 31 ounces of water, which is not a lot. But I've just been really surprised at the response of this, and to watch Lydia not know. But then it got even worse, because then Lydia said, they were like, really? Whoa, how long does a kid have to be on formula? These are the guys asking. And Lydia's like, a baby cannot eat solid food until they're 1 year old. If I had not fed my children solid food until they were 1 year old, they would have started eating things in my house. Because children will let you know when their digestive system is ready to explore. And they will sit at the table and snatch some mashed taters and grab a green bean, and they will try it. And they'll kind of learn to slowly incorporate these things into their system. until one day magically they just prefer these over their baby food. Now both of my kids were being fed from the table by the time they were 1 year old. Do they still have supplements and stuff like that? Yeah. But they were eating food. Yeah, they were still heavy on the homemade formula, but they were eating food. And I was just like, and then she took it even further. I was like, this can't get any worse. I was wrong. She took it even further. Then Tim was like, well, they can make my baby formula taste like a steak, medium rare. And she was like, oh, that's funny. She's like, actually, kids can't eat steak. They can't eat meat. And he goes, when can a kid eat like a steak, eat like meat? She's like, not until they're 3. Can you imagine having a 3-year-old going to pre-K that can't eat meat? I thought that as time passed, people got smarter. Apparently not. I am really kind of concerned. I'll plug my computer up. I am actually really concerned with the responses that I've been getting from people about this, because they think this formula is like mastered to be perfection. But yeah, protein is necessary to build all those things in the brain. I mean, and they need a high amount of protein. They actually need healthy sugars, and they need the building blocks. So actually, probably their little bodies need more of these things. And so they get, that's why they get 2 tablespoons of Karo syrup mixed in with that stuff, and they get the liquid vitamins, the polybazole. And I just can't believe that people do not understand that there was a time before formula, and there were women that couldn't breastfeed. And we had to create hacks to feed our children. And mothers did a very good job, because the majority of the hacks still work today if you need them to. But I was really surprised to see that, because 3 years old, you're not going to feed your child meat until they're 3 years old. If I was your kid, I'd move. I'd go on strike. I would leave. I'd be like, put me up for adoption, legit. I need some food, And yeah, we used goat milk for Lane too, because he was deathly allergic to everything. I mean, it would have. His body was rejecting everything. And it was the doctor at Children's Hospital that told me what to feed him. He was like, you're going to have to go old school. And I was like, I'm fine with that. What do I do? How do we heal his tummy and get him over this bowel issue we're handling? And he was like, well, there's an old recipe that old timers used, and you're going to have to use that. And I said, fine, absolutely. Tell me what it is. And he was like, it's a can of pet milk, or, evaporated milk, water, and Karo syrup. And I'll write you a prescription for some vitamin drops. And I said, is that going to be good enough for him? He's like, yeah. He said, you can give him goat's milk too. He said, goat's milk is really good. And now every time I say my son took goat's milk, they're like, goat's milk aggravates the chances that they'll have more allergic reactions to things. Really? Because back in the day when lots of kids were raised on goat's milk, allergies were not a thing. Allergies were not a thing. So tell me how that makes sense. Babies kept on a bottle too long may develop what is known as bottle mouth, which can cause baby's teeth to rot. Thank you. A lot of people want to leave that bottle with that baby for as long as possible because it keeps that baby quiet. And they don't want to allow that baby to grow up because that baby feeds their emotional needs. And they want to keep them small. And they want to keep them needed. They want to keep them clung to the mother. And they want to keep them close. And I get all that, ladies, but you can do so much harm to a developing brain and a developing psyche and a developing little person by doing all these things. They need to be able to explore their world. When they don't have the ability to vocalize and they don't have the ability to communicate vocally, they use body communication and they feel their world out with their mouth. And do you know why it's designed to be like, kids put everything in their mouth. Do you want to know why it's designed that way? Because your tonsils are where all of your immune system are built and established when you're a child. So everything that goes in your mouth goes in your tonsils, and that's how your body learns how to fight germs and identify germs and viruses. And I'm like, you people don't know anything. How have we gotten farther in the world and you know, supposed to be like so tech savvy, but we're stupid? Hi, Katrina. I don't understand, you know, and I'm just like, how can you sit there? And I can see you sitting there in your ignorance, because I can see that you've only accepted one story, one research, one regime, and you've not done anything to educate yourself or to look at options or to think, God, what if this were to happen? How would I cope? What would I do for my child? And if you would just, instead of saying, oh, that's old. They also used to say smoking was not bad for your health. Look where that got us. Okay, no, smoking was all about propaganda and making money. That's why they push smoking. Every time something has been done that's been bad health, but they pushed it in the media or doctors have pushed it, it's because the doctors have been bought off and they've pushed it as propaganda to make money. That's it. It's like today, if you go and look at the news, Fauci and the department have finally fessed up to getting like what, $360 million in like bonus funds that it was like a conflict of interest to receive. And you'll tell people that, and they're like, absolutely not. That man is a saint. He's done so much for this world. And I'm like, no, really, you can go read the article. It has all the facts, and it even has the proof and where the money went and where it came from and where it should have gone. And they're like, I don't believe you. Okay, great. And that's the thing. People think that's such an insult. I don't believe anybody either. I go online and do my research because I want to know what to believe. I want to know what makes the most sense and what has the most truth behind it, has the most factual evidence that I can find, the most empirical data that I can throw at somebody else and say, here, look at this. So when they look at me and they say, I don't believe you, that's great. Don't believe me. Don't believe me enough to go and do your research. And you'll make me the happiest person in the world, because then you'll learn. So I was really frustrated because I really like Lydia, and I think, like, I look at Lydia and I'm like, okay, then the next group coming up, they're going to have some good ones. But it wasn't so much that she didn't know, but it was the way she said what she thought was the truth, and it was in a very condescending manner, and it was just like, okay. And that was the first time that I got a hint of her personality that I really didn't like, and I thought, that's one thing I don't like, is every time, like when I learned something I didn't know, I'm like, shoot, really? Get done. I was almost 44 years old. Well, now I'm going to have to go read the book on this. And then I go and I, try to absorb everything else about the subject. I don't sit there and go, but data today that I've read, okay, well, that's such a small point, like the data today that you've read, it's like throw a drop in the well, because that's about what it is. You should always want to learn more. You should always want to question what you know. You should always want to research, and like, before you call somebody a ply blank liar, go and look at these things. Like, I even posted a picture of an advertisement and an old prescription pad where a doctor had written this down for parents, and they're like, I don't believe you. Even though there are like 100 and something people below me going, I'm 57, I'm 72, I'm 63. We were raised on this. Me and my 12 siblings, we all turned out fine. And, and these girls that are 31 that have never had children, aren't married, and, they're fussing with me. And I'm like, I've raised two. They're adults. I know what I'm talking about. Like, I've lived experiences. I thought that was the thing with y'all. No? Okay, I didn't get the memo. We're not getting a lot of memos here lately. The memo machine's broke. So I don't know. That kind of irked me. If you have a minute, go watch the last few minutes of Timcast when they're talking about the baby formula, and sit there and think, okay, these are people I turn to for information that I think are smart. Watch them in that segment, and your heart and your brain are just gonna. It's like it does not compute. It's like, how can they be so smart and so stupid at the same time? How can you research so much and yet know so little about actual real life? Yeah, because most women Lydia's age have been around a number of young babies and should know how babies, yeah, mama start out with the best of intentions, and you're like, oh, I'm only going to feed them this, we're going to structure this, but that's, if you're a mom, that's not how it happens. That each baby has their own personality and their own individual goalposts, and they do things in their own time. So I was like, I don't think she spent a lot of time around children, because this sounds like it's come from like regurgitated memos and not real life experience, because anyone with real world experience would know you cannot wait till 3 years old to feed a child meat. I mean, seafood and stuff like that, yeah, you might want to hold off in case there is an allergy. Like they want you to hold off until, like I was told to hold off on certain things like seafood stuff until after 1 year old. But it's like, holy crap. Denise says, in my honest opinion, it's young doctors telling parents now they were not around anything but commercial products. Oh, that's it. Timcast. Yes, Timcast this evening. The last few minutes, they're talking about the formula shortage. And I was just like, y'all, young mothers out there that, bless their hearts, don't have the support systems that older generations did, don't have the common sense, I'm just going to say it, the common sense that older generations have, don't have the working knowledge of farm life, and that other animals have mammary glands. So we all have mammary glands, okay? I burnt my mammary glands today when I was sitting on the mower. But these girls, they don't know these things. They've never been in a position to attain this knowledge, because we live such isolated lives now. And how are we going to overcome this hiccup? How are we going to integrate this knowledge back in if it's lost? Because it seems to be lost already. Real life doesn't happen on a computer. It doesn't happen in social media. It doesn't happen on a podcast. That's it. You have to go out and you have to really live life. And I worry about what life experiences and what people are structuring their lives and their morals, their moral code, their ego foundation. I worry about what people are structuring their lives upon these days, because I'm like, everything to you, if they unplugged it or somebody hit a pole, would be gone in 30 seconds. So is that really real life? And I want kids to start thinking about that. Denise says that they don't want to know so many, don't want to learn, and they want to do it on their own, and they want to do it their own way, and they're belligerent, and they will not take information. But I'm here to tell you, if you're a mom and you've got a kid that is hungry and you're terrified right now, you should not be terrified. You should know about these options. And what bothers me the most is I can go into a chat or a forum scenario and say really snarky, nasty things, and people will completely just shuffle right along as if nothing happened. Try it sometime. But if you go in there and you offer someone hope, or you say something positive, or you just even give them a glimmer of possibility, they will attack you. Like you came in riding to take everything they had. I was attacked. And on Facebook, the news station where I posted the recipe, and I was like, hey, moms that are scared, you got hungry kids, and you're down to the last bit of formula, you can't find it, you have options. This is what I used. My son is now almost 24. He was 100 foot up a tree today taking it apart. No health issues. He's fine. And I always make sure to tell them, you can get supplement drops to go in here. Do your research, talk to your doctor. We have options. Don't be scared. Formula is not the only thing you can put in a baby. And it boggles my mind, how did we ever get so trusting of big corporations? But they distrust a human being that probably, they could come and see me, verify me on the internet, look me up, know all about me, but they distrust me, but they're going to trust a corporation that wants to make money off of them. How did we get here? But I was so, I don't know, I was so irritated yesterday because it was hard for me to realize that a lot of people would rather accept hate than positivity. Megan's, you drank goat's milk as a baby. So did my son. He was deathly allergic to formula, to where his bowels were not functioning. And it took them, they told me at first he had Hirschsprung's. And by the way, YouTube, this is not medical advice or anything like that. Not diet advice, nothing. No nutritional, nothing. I'm just saying this is my opinion because this is what I did with my children, and they're perfectly healthy. But he was so allergic. And then they're like, well, you wouldn't do that now. I mean, you can tell people what you did all those years ago. It wasn't that long ago. I'm not that old. But you wouldn't do that now that we've made so many gains. Honey, we had formula when I had children too. I'm not that old. I want to follow these people around, and when they're 43, 44, go, do you feel that old? Do you remember when you told me I was an old hag that knew nothing and I was an idiot and I just need to take my Geritol and go to bed? Do you remember that? Because they're going to see life in a much different way when they get this age. And, well, I tell you what, you really should not even talk ill of anyone until after 25, because you're not even put together properly until then. But I was just astonished at how quickly people will accept and absorb and not even try to barricade themselves from hate. But you try to show kindness or positivity or you're a horrible person. And it's gotten that way probably. It was a little like that in 2008, 2019, but the majority of that has come on in this isolated time in the last 2 years. Denise says, my 42-year-old had formula allergies, came from both ends. Yes. And her son, that's what they've told my son, because he's expecting his first baby in September. And they told the wife and him at the last doctor appointment, listen, since you had such issues, it's normally genetic. You need to be prepared for this baby to have formula issues anyway. And, of course, they've been prepared from the get-go. They're old school, like, we're just old school around here. We just like the old ways. And she's wanting to breastfeed, but in the event she has a hard time getting her milk to come in, or she has dry periods, then that's how she's going to supplement, because it's highly likely that their child will also be deathly allergic to the formula. So, I tell these people, I was like, it's not that I'm not old, because they just told my son and his wife to prepare for this, because allergies to these formula things are normally found to be genetic. And I don't know, just the pure hate that I was shown over trying to offer hope. And I'm like, wow. No wonder the world is topsy-turvy. No wonder when people do those news stories, like the link that I posted earlier, and I said, please go watch this. This is like the best thing to watch today. Here's your daily dose of truth. Biden shut down 3 more opportunities to get oil on our own. 3 opportunities that people brought up and said, hey, we can start cranking this out. We can start helping this deficit now and helping the American people. 3. But he says he's trying to do all he can. I'm sorry, sir, that does not compute in my world. That doesn't tell me you're doing everything you're trying to do, because you're not. You're still negating possible options. So if you go and watch that, it literally is like 12, 14 minutes purely of Biden's decisions in the last 3 weeks that are shown to contradict what is going on in our society, what he said are his goals to help the American people, because he's actually costing us money left and right. And it's just like, I want to understand this administration, because the only way we can learn to communicate and have a dialogue is to understand them. But I can't understand someone that contradicts themselves. I can't find the logic. Thank you, Gypsy. It was really good, wasn't it? Like, he didn't even breathe. It was just consistent, constant, one breath facts. I was just amazed. But if we can't communicate, if I can't find a consistency and a truth in your communication and dialogue, I can't talk back to you. Because that is an inconsistent verbalization. I can't do that. And I don't know if they're doing that out of sheer stupidity, that they're just incapable of understanding that their behaviors have consequences, and those consequences are caused by them. And, you know, you're sniffing your own butt here. We're turning in circles. Let's stop. I don't know if they can't understand that, or if they're, I really have, this is my opinion and my opinion alone, I really believe that Biden is so angry and his administration is so angry, and they have been purchased, financed, and maintained by so many other countries and nations that they have no bond with America. They have no integrity. They're not bound to America in any way. So I really believe that he's just trying to deplete this nation so that whoever gets it next cannot build it back, cannot rectify the situation. I really believe that this administration is just out to end America. But they did also prove, they have actual proof, they have confirmed that there are pallets of baby formula at the Ursula and another facility in Texas. Pallets and pallets and pallets and pallets and pallets, with another delivery being like made tonight or in the morning. Why are there pallets of baby formula sitting down there when there are hungry babies in America? Yeah, pisses me off too. So I'm trying to understand this administration. I can still drink goat's milk on certain days. I have to be in the mood for goat's milk because I've gotten older, and I've gotten pampered. But now I still remember cow's milk straight out of the cow. And if you've not had cow's milk straight out of the cow, you've not had milk, because grocery store milk to me is not milk. There's a whole different texture, flavor, emulsive thing that goes on when you drink milk straight from the cow. Like, you get it out of the cow, bring it in and drink it. There's a whole different thing. And when you're making your butter and you're making your cheeses, it's just a whole different being. Let's read some of these. Denise said, I'm 61. When I was a baby parent, couldn't bottle, oh wait, your parents couldn't bottle break you. So you were bottle broken one night by a Cherokee Indian. Placement of head of crib of Indian ways. Yes. I was raised that you never want to sleep with your head facing north. Don't ask me why. It's something about the magnetism of the earth and the old beliefs and the minerals, and anyway. And like, it pulls your blood the wrong way. But the Indians were like, you will never sleep facing north. South or southeast are the best ways to face to sleep, with your head pointed in that direction. Unless you're in the southern hemisphere, and then it's backwards. But that's the way I was taught. Like, we learned a lot of weird stuff like that. And now it's being scientifically proven. And I'm like, how did we know it back then? I think people were just inherently capable of absorbing Mother Nature's information. And I don't think we're capable of doing that. I don't think we have a sixth sense anymore. I think I have a small one, and I'm lucky to have it, but the only reason I have it is because I was raised on a farm with dangerous animals and in an area with a lot of predators, and I hunted. I think that's the only reason I have a sixth sense that is better than most people's, because most people do not have a sixth sense at all anymore. And I honestly think it's been like bred out of us, like the fluoride they put in the water that, your pineal gland, it affects that, it calcifies that, which that is like one of the biggest mysteries in the brain. what actually that does. That's why I don't think it's a mystery, because they shut it down. It must not be a mystery, but it's a mystery to us. But there's so many things that have been done that contradict what the human body needs. And I just go, that don't sound right. Okay, I'm going to have to read some books. I'm going to have to go through some peer-reviewed scholarly journals. We're going to have to spend some time at the library. And nobody will invest that time into things anymore. And so they Google everything, and they think Google told them the truth. You can literally put words together and put true question mark at the end of it, and Google will pull something that has those words and try to tell you it's true. And then you'll put those words back in Google and put false question mark, and Google will pull those same words and tell you it's false. So these people that go to Google and think Google is like Jesus that's landed and told them everything, it's not. Google is meant to keep you active, to keep you engaged, and to keep you basically fed what they want you to know. That's why when you go and Google certain things that are not popular in the media or popular in politics, Google won't show you the website. But if you go to DuckDuckGo or some other website, you'll find it immediately. I mean, there's only one reason that that's done, right? I mean, because surely they would want all information to be there at our fingertips to make us the most smart and responsible citizens in the world. Because we have all this information, surely they want us to use it. It should be accessible, right? No. So when I see people that think Google is like, or they think Wikipedia is a source, and I'm like, boy, I would have been horsewhipped if I'd used Wikipedia in my works cited or reference pages. I would have been beat. And now that's all kids use. And now they're wanting that lady, the Ministry of Scary Poppins, she wants to turn Twitter into where blue checkmark verified people can change other people's tweets. Well, what's the purpose of having a Twitter account and tweeting if someone else is going to change your words? That's like having somebody follow you around and gets add addendums to everything you say through your entire life. That's like having somebody follow you around and you go to a used car salesman and negotiate to buy a car for $3,700, and then you go, but before we can finish the deal, you have to listen to what he wants to say. I'm sorry, but due to blah, 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 the actual price of that car should be $4,300 with a blah, 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 interest going to blah, 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 and a cut to you and that, and my 10%. Why would anyone want that? So why would you want someone following around augmenting what you're placing out there as your perspective and your opinion? It ceases to be your perspective and your opinion when someone else gets to augment it. And then they're like, well, we need to stop all these people that have these biases. We don't have a bias because we're conscious of our bias. How? You can't be conscious of all your biases because there are notable unconscious biases. And you can't know about them if they're unconscious. Those are those things that other people help illuminate for you. Yeah. But if you have a bias, or you think somebody else has a bias, and you're trying to train them to not have a bias, you're still just trying to inflict another bias upon their bias, which is still a bias. There's no way you can be unbiased. Because to have a bias about a bias is still being biased. And these people think, I'm completely not biased. Well, that means you're biased. And I'm just like, this is just logic. That's just logic. To think that we walk around and we're not biased, and we have the ability to not be biased, we have the ability to not attach ourselves to our social identity and our social group and our little community world in such a way that we present or accept only certain things based on our preferences. There's no way you can go through life without doing that. A human being is supposed to be biased. We're herd animals. We look for people that have similar mindsets, and we herd and flock together for protection. And being different doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're different. But when you're different to the point that you want everyone else to be the same as you, you're dangerous. And I'm like, I don't want to be dangerous. I'm just trying to understand as many people and as many perspectives as possible. But if you aren't consistent in your communication, and you aren't honest and truthful, and you contradict yourself between your statements and your behaviors and your actions, how am I supposed to make some kind of peace with you to where we can cohabitate, communicate, and elevate our little part of the world in a positive manner? You can't. So I think that they are enjoying this breakdown of communication and interaction, and it's doing great things for what they're wanting to do. So why fix it? It's not broke, right? It's it's exactly what they want. So I don't know, I'm just frustrated. I'm just so frustrated because everyone's brain is its own little separate universe. And it's a magical thing. And when you meet somebody that has a brain that you think is truly magical, it can help you open up little doors, alleyways in your brain and make your brain and your world more magical. And I can't imagine going through life and thinking that everyone I run into is something bad or something harmful. Or if they aren't exactly like me, I have to turn them into me or I can't accept them. They have nothing to offer me. I mean, some of the best things I've learned in life have come from people that have been polar opposites of me because it challenged me to really think and reassess. So I learned the most from people that are not like me at all. And I don't know how people go through life without trying that, without at least receiving something from other people. I can't think that I would go through life and think that I know everything or I can obtain all the knowledge I need, that I don't need to do any other research other than what I've already done because that was the perfect amount because I'm perfect. And I can't imagine going through life like that. Like I don't know, I learn something every day. And I'm getting old, so if I'm still learning stuff every day, I know that other people are still learning stuff every day. So, I don't know. I was just frustrated. But if you have a minute, go to Timcast tonight, their show, and go to the end and watch these very smart, well-read, articulate young people that I would normally be honored to sit down and have a conversation with. Watch them turn into flaming lunatics in 2 seconds because it's one topic that they truly have no common sense of. It's scary. It was very scary. But anyway, I wasn't actually going to go live, but then I thought, no, I'm going to go live because that really irritated me. It really irritated me because I thought, man, if I could just talk to her for 3 minutes, I could tell her about what I went through as a young mother, and I could open her eyes up to so much. But then the immediate thought that crossed my mind was, but no one I've told about it so far really wanted to hear about it. I mean, everybody's screaming about starving children. But when I offer an option, I'm the devil because I'm not what is best. Formula is what is best. Well, I'm sorry. Did you get up this morning and shit out a pack of Similac? Because I didn't. And unless you have that, capability, then you need to try something else. So, I don't know. I was just like, it just boggled my mind. It just boggled my mind that someone that I thought was just absolutely, you think if you're intelligent to that level that you've got a good handle on common life knowledge. She's 31, so you would think that she would have spent some time around some children. Or at least observed enough kids to know that those goals are not attainable. I'm sorry. You're going to be sitting with a 4-month, a 5-month, a 6-month-old in your lap. And if they've got good hand-eye coordination and they see a green bean or mashed potatoes, it's going to end up in their hand. It's going to end up in their mouth. And you can't stop it. Kids immediately put things in their mouth. It's how they test their world. It's how they build their immune system. It's meant to be that way. And that's how they teach you when they're ready to start. You know, they really get excited about real food. And you'll know the first time that they get that green bean or handful of mashed potatoes, you'll know really quickly if their body is ready for it or not, because their little tummy will tell you really quickly. And I can't remember my kids grabbing at anything that caused them a problem. I think that kids just kind of know when they get excited about that plate and they understand that's food and they can process that and they know where it's supposed to go. You know, they know it's food. They see the place. They want to mimic you. I think that's when kids just, their bodies know they're ready. You know, the brain is one of those things that we are never going to fully understand. And there's a lot that kids just grow into at their own rate. And I think food in different types of food is that thing. Now, are all kids going to eat and explore the way my kids did? No. But if you hold a kid off from meat until they're 3, some doctors surely would report you for neglect. Because you're going to have a child that is not getting what they need. Talk about formula not being everything. You can't keep a 3-year-old on formula. They need to be eating a good, healthy diet. But you're not going to give them meat. Well, do you not understand that you're withholding nutrients that their body needs? But you're fussing about my formula, to which I'm adding supplements to make sure they're getting everything they need. But she didn't understand that the restrictive diet that she was talking about at 3, you don't have a 3-year-old on formula. That restrictive diet was going to be worse than the homemade formula and vitamins that I was feeding. I don't know. I was just frustrated. As a mother, it frustrated me. Like, it frustrated me to no end. I would just like to see a common sense reaction from women going, well, you know something? If my baby's starving, I'm going to have to experiment. We're going to have to try small amounts of something because we're not going to let my child starve. That, to me, would be an appropriate response. Right? Instead of, no, you can only feed them formula. So you're just going to have to give them water until they get their next bottle of formula because you'll kill their systems. Well, they're going to starve. So, I don't know. That's where I was an hour ago. It really frustrated me. Because I really enjoyed the rest of the show, and then it bombed it for me because I lost a little bit of faith that I had built in this group of people that I really normally enjoy. You know, I get a lot of engagement from their podcast, and so I lost a little bit of, yeah. And it's frustrating when that happens, especially when, you know, you're home and you have a routine and you find these things that help you get through. When you're disabled and you're home all the time, you find these things that help you get through the day and through the evenings. And that was one thing that I normally enjoy. I learned something. You know, I get to listen to other people engaged in conversation, which I really enjoy. And now I'm like, I'm going to be questioning everything from now on. I'm going to be like, did they really read up? Did they really look at other research options? Did they really look at everything? Because they bombed that segment for me, and it was frustrating. But y'all know my little redheaded boy that does chainsaw carvings, and he's a tree surgeon. Started life, they told me he had Hirschsprung's disease and that he was going to die. You want to talk about freaking a young mother out? Those are the words that will freak a young mother out. So we ended up at Children's Hospital where they did a bunch of tests and they discovered that no, he just had an extreme death allergy reaction to formulas. All formulas. We could not find a formula. We stayed there and tried so many formulas. None of them. They all ate his insides up. And finally, the doctor just looked at me. Thank God it was a middle-aged older man. He said, "You're just going to have to go to the old-timey recipe and goat's milk." And I was like, okay, that's what we'll do. Now, in my mind, I was already thinking we're going to have to buy an nanny goat, you know. And I knew about the recipe, but I didn't like know it by heart or know, you know, I was going to have to ask somebody and make sure I got it right. But it didn't surprise me when you said you're going to have to go the old timey route, you know, because I was, you know, a lot of people around here were raised on that. So it's, you know, mothers make it. The strangest response I got all week was a woman that said, "You're going to kill your kid with botulism." Oh. I said, "I'm sorry, what?" That's syrup. It's not processed the same way anymore, and you're going to kill your child with botulism. And I said, "That's honey. Honey is the thing you have to be careful with kids. And certain honeys, the way they're processed and the way you store them, and that's the botulism scare." So they were like, "No, it's the syrup. It's not processed the same way." So I was like, "It's specifically Karo because of the way it's put together." And I have friends that are physicians, so I just send a little Facebook message and ask a question. They're like, "No, that's honey. No, Karo's fine." No, never heard of that. I was like, okay. So I went back and I told them, well, you know, I asked physicians and they all said, "No, that's honey. You don't need to, you know." And they're like, "Well, you're just getting stuff and throwing it together and you're going to reheat it and kill your kid." Why am I gonna reheat it? Well, you're gonna have to reheat it before you can dip out the next bottle. Why would I reheat all of it before I dip out the next bottle? Why don't I just dip out a bottle and heat a bottle at a time as needed? Well, some mothers won't do that. They'll reheat all of it and keep dipping from that pot, and they'll kill their kid. Well, that's a stupid person to put a milk on a stove and reheat it multiple times. I bet you they leave their tater salad in the sun too. But this person did not want to give that ground up. And I was just like, you know, if you got a starving kid, you're going to have to make a decision. So I've given you an option, research it, and make a decision. So, but that's where I was. This has been this week. We've had a busy week. David's had to drive my Jeep a lot. And then we had a death in the family. So we had a funeral, memorial this evening. And it's just been a run week. I've been super busy. Denise, I've got to call the quilt lady tomorrow to see where she's at on things. Still haven't gotten to town by the bank because half the days I haven't had a vehicle because David's had mine. And it's just been like, man, the days get away because we've been, we're getting ready for Haley's graduation from college. And then we're going to have them here for about 3-4 days. And so we're going to do a lot of grilling out and a lot of evening fires and, you know, a lot of just visiting. And so we're trying to get the house cleaned up and, you know, do some extra touch up on the yard so it looks a little bit better when we have company in. And plus when you have this big of a yard and this much acreage and it's this time of year, you want to weed it a little extra when you live rural like us and you want to look for the snakes. And so we're just cleaning up super extra. We sprayed a lot of the fence rows and stuff on certain days, trying to get all that taken care of. And we've just been super busy. Just super busy. And I have to cook more and put more food together now because David's on a very special kind of diet. And so I have to spend a whole lot more time doing food prep and kitchen work and stuff like that. So it's just not quite got everything balanced back out yet. And plus now I'm in the process. I got contacted a couple of days ago and asked to write a story for the newspaper. So I'm trying to do that. And it's sad because I'm extremely rural, but the lady was like, "I need you to help write a story for the paper because the people that I employ are not, you know, this is about Soil Conservation Day, and we want to talk about the animals in the area the wild animals in the area that are depleting the land, that are changing the waterways, that are destroying land, destroying farmland, destroying our ag producers' land. I need everything that they had at Soil Conservation Day. I need a little informative blurb paragraph about. So I need somebody that knows about dairy farms and beef farms. And she's like, I just need you. She's like, I hate to bug you, but I just need you. And I was like, okay. I couldn't say no. So it's nice every once in a while to do something like this because it puts me kind of back into the mix, and I get to talk to people I don't normally get to talk to. So it had been probably 10 years since I talked to anyone at the Soil Conservation District. And I got to call and catch up and have a little powwow to get all the information about the pictures from Soil Conservation Day, because she was taking pictures, but she was not able to do pictures and notes. So in order to talk about the pictures she wanted in the paper, I had to call and ask about the pictures and who it was, what they were doing, the farm represented, and get all of that. So I've been busy this week, and it's nice to be busy sometimes. I don't mind every once in a while writing stories when it's ag or culture, heritage related. I enjoy those. So she will normally yell at me if she needs something that is either super emotional written or super devoted to like creating a nostalgia reaction when people read it. She'll yell at me. So that's what I've been trying to do the last couple of days in my free time, what little bit of free time I've had. So this week is going to be a blur because Haley graduates the 20th. I've got an MRI on the 19th. That's going to be fun. And so this week is just going to be a blur. It's going to be a lot of finishing up and getting stuff done. And I like to look at my freshly mowed yard, my freshly weeded yard. But I'm telling you, when you have to do those little finishing touches that you don't always do, and you have to really force yourself to really be intricate and detailed, it wears me out. Dave's really good at it. It wears me out. And I feel bad when I have to be like, no, I've got to sit down. I've got to go in and rest for a little bit. I can't do this. I feel bad because he's still going. And I just can't keep up. And he lets me do the stuff to where I'm seated or minimal walking, or I'm on a mower or a mobile something. And so we found kind of a new balance of ways that I can help out without aggravating my legs and without aggravating my muscles and without aggravating my RSD to a point. But I enjoy it. I enjoy trying to help, but I get frustrated because I can't help. And I used to be just as strong and stout as him, and now I'm like, can I try that? And I'm like, I can't do anything anymore that I used to do. I used to be a powerhouse, and now I'm like, I need help. That's all I do is say I need help. But we've definitely been spending more time with each other, and that's been nice. The spring and summer are always like that because when he's trapping in the winter, I can't. There's no way I could do that. Not anymore with my limitations. That's why I'm always seated when you all see me. If I walk and try to pay attention to the camera and pay attention to where I'm going and listen to my legs, and I'll fall. So I'm always seated when I do videos or lives because me walking is not a very good thing. You can tell in some of my videos where I'm walking that I have an altered gait. I walk differently. You can hear the pattern of my walk. I struggle, and most of the time I have a cane or I have my rolly cart with me, or I know how far I can get away from a porch or a chair before I struggle. So I'm comfortable mostly in my own yard, but leaving this house terrifies me because those are the unknowns to me, is how far I can walk, and will there be a chair? Will there be an option for me to sit down? And am I going to get myself in trouble and overdo? But we've been spending a lot more time together since it's been like the spring cleanup that we do around the house. And it's always a good time of year for us because we enjoy kind of watching the flowers grow and bloom and everything blossom out. And we get to spend a lot of time together because when fall and winter gets back, he's back to hunting and trapping and putting food in the freezer and trying to make some extra money with his fur stuff. So I really enjoy this time of year. but I'm really, this week's been difficult with everything that's happened. But that's why I look halfway decent, is because I was prepared for a memorial service earlier, so I look halfway decent. But I'm hoping she should be done with the quilts at some point this week. I'm hoping. She's normally super quick, so I'm hoping. She may already. I'll call her tomorrow. So I need to deposit that tomorrow and prep for shipping. So I'll get that done. But this next week's going to be a blur. But I will message you as soon as I know where she's at and what's going on. But I don't know. If I could say anything to the people that were sitting around the Timcast table today, it would be, listen, you're young, you're smart, that's great. You've got everything going for you. Obviously you're great business. You've got a great business model working for you here. That's great. You're intelligent in ways that I am not intelligent. And that's why I watch you. I learn. Sometimes you might need to watch someone else and learn from them. Look at your weaknesses. I know he's trying to do this whole country vibe where he's moving and he's wanting to become self-sustainable in Chicken City and all this stuff. Reach out to people like me and have conversations with people like me. And you may not think we're super intelligent, but by golly, we're freaking Play-Doh when it comes to how to fix a chicken coop, or what's wrong with the chicken, or bumblefoot, or did they eat sawdust and die, or, predator issues. You need to access people and start building that knowledge, because I think a lot of his knowledge has come from books, which is great. Books are great. But there's something about learning from someone that has got decades of hands-on ranch, farm, garden, cattle, livestock work. And so I would like to see them potentially look at someone and say, okay, you may not be as business savvy and tech savvy and, super, super politically smart like me, but I identify where you are super intelligent and I have a weakness there, so I want you to come help me. I would love to see him reach out and bring someone completely polar opposite into his world and give him some pointers, because I've noticed a few times that they've done stuff about the chickens and the farm and stuff like that, where they've made mention of things they're planning to do. I'm like, man, that's the hard way. Man, that's the expensive way. Why? Whoa! You do it. If you do that this year, you're gonna have to move everything and then redo it next year. Yeah, I would love to see him, because he wants everybody to cross the bridge to come meet him. I would love to see him cross the bridge to go meet someone else on a different level. And so if I could leave anyone with a parting thought, it would be, everyone that you meet has a strength in something and has a weakness in something. It's up to you which one you want to identify and extort, basically. Do you want to use their weakness to make them feel stupid and make you feel better? Or do you want to use their strength to add another strength to your checklist so that you have fewer weaknesses? Use people that have other strengths than yourself, that are different from you. Use them to add those missing puzzle pieces to yourself. Don't look at them and only notice what they lack to be like you. Notice what they have that you don't have, and try to acquire some of that knowledge from them. Everyone, even people that you think do not have any common sense, they will have a strength in something. Find it. Use it. Apply it. So that you build yourself up and you add more to who you are. And that way you don't walk around wanting to extort weaknesses and be someone that's only pointing out deficits. Be someone that points out where they have just an influx of common sense or knowledge that is beneficial to both of you. because it's going to make you smarter. It's going to make them feel better about themselves. It's a win-win situation. So, Timcast, if you ever watch this, please call me with your farm issues. I can save you a lot of money, tell you lots of shortcuts, and probably you're going to go dirt when I tell you half of them because they're really simple. But sometimes the simple way of doing things is the hardest way to see in your brain. And it just takes somebody that has had their hands on something to do it before and has just messed up enough times to know the right way to do it. All my years of screwing something up to do it right, I will offer that to you openly. But I really want to have a talk about this baby formula and dietary needs of children issue because that really, really concerned me. So if y'all have a chance, go watch that. Don't dog them, don't be negative. But it really frustrated me, and I had to, I'm processing through it, because I don't want to be negative. I don't want to type on their thing and be negative. So I'm processing through it so that I can find some way to come back and try to have that conversation at some point, either in the comment section or somehow email them or something so that they don't go through life thinking that. And while it may not be priority on their list to have that knowledge, it's always nice if someone hears you say something that they know is not a workable theory, it's not going to flesh out, that dog ain't going to hunt. It's always nice when those people take you aside and share how they know that, how they messed up, and how they corrected it, because then it saves you from having to go through all that. So I really like to meet people that want to see everybody as an opportunity to learn, and don't ever want to think that they know everything. That constantly want to absorb. They just want to be a sponge their whole life. I really like people like that. And so when I meet people that sometimes reflect themselves as all hat, no cattle, it's frustrating because I really like people of substance. And if you look hard enough, you can find an individual of substance. But I'm just going to tell you, I think it's getting harder. I really think it's getting harder. And that's why I come on here and I just beg people to communicate, to have a dialogue, to talk to people, and to get to know people that are different and explore. But even for me, who I'm super positive and super excited about meeting people, even for me, it's getting harder to have meaningful conversations with the younger generation because of the violent responses I get, or because of the erroneous belief they have that the old ways are no longer viable. So I think a lot of people, with what has happened in the last 2 years, are starting to look at people in the country and people that have worked the land and know a little bit more wood lore and home remedies and stuff like that. I think they're looking at us and seeing and understanding that, we are smart, we are intelligent, just in a different way. And that's great. But man, there's a stubborn little population of the younger generation that is making it very difficult to interact. And it frustrates me. And I don't like to be frustrated. I normally overcome social speed bumps so easily because I have a personality that's built to adapt. And it's very difficult communicating with a population and a generation that were not created to be communicators, but were only created to be broadcasters. Yeah, I said that right. It's very difficult because those are two very different things. And they think getting on here and talking like I'm doing right now, they think that is having communication. It's not. It's broadcasting. It's broadcasting your thoughts, your knowledge, your information. But it's not a communication. It's not a dialogue. It's not. Communication is a two-way feedback. Y'all get to chat and send me messages and stuff, but it's not a full-on interpersonal verbal back and forth. And I think that the more we allow our children to spend time on the internet and social media, the bigger this deficit will be in next generations, the next generation, the next generation. And I'm concerned about that because I'm already, and I'm not old. I'm just fixing to turn 44. Just at the end of the month, I'll be 44. I'm 44. And I'm having a difficult time talking to 23, 24, 27-year-olds. And I don't talk to, on the internet, I don't talk to anyone under 18. I'm very careful about that. Unless I know their parents, I ain't talking to you. I'm very careful about that. But I worry because I'm like, if I were to explore that, if I were able to get out of my house more and really explore the younger populations in other areas, like I used to do when I was working and I was counseling the teenagers, would I see a deficit from the teenagers that I used to counsel a couple of years ago? It concerns me because I think I would. I think if I'm seeing this big of a deficit in the adult population, then it's only getting worse with a younger brain and a younger mentality and a younger emotional response. I would say that the social media response, the internet response I would get from that group would be even worse, even more harsh, even more hateful. It just seems like they're just, I don't know. I just feel like I'm at you ever seen them run the gravel at the rock crusher and make the big rocks into gravel? You ever sat there and listened to all that? That's just what I feel like. Even though it's quiet in my room and I'm just typing, that little communication thread, it makes me feel like there's just so much noise, but nobody's being heard. And it bothers me sometimes. And so I'm concerned about the next few generations. I'm really concerned. So this may be like a working theory that I still have a lot of contacts in the kids with state's custody in the juvenile facilities and stuff. I may start talking to those facilities again, seeing if they want me to come in and do little education things when I have not really good week with my body or something, just so I can start to interact with those age groups again to see if what I'm thinking is happening is actually occurring. And if it is occurring, I can at least help some. Possibly. But that's my concern. Like what I saw on Timcast the last few minutes opened up a whole new concern for me today. And, I've had several all week with what's going on with this shortage and politics and stuff, but that was a new one for me because I did not think the chasm between us was that far, but Lydia proved to me today that it is. So, gonna have to work on that. Talk to somebody that's not like you. Engage with someone that you wouldn't normally engage with. See if you learn something. Try to point out the positive. Try to, identify the negative and accept it, but then try to find the positive. And constantly try to improve your communication, your dialogue, and your interpersonal communication skills and your interpersonal relationship skills. Constantly work on these things because kids learn from seeing people role model these skills effectively. We need more people our age role modeling these skills. So, y'all, do more, be more. I think that's going to be my motto for the next few years. Do more, be more. Because I see a huge deficit in the next few generations. I'm going to end on that. It's 10 o'clock. I'm going to finish a few paragraphs here, then I'm going to lay down. I've had a long day. Thank you for spending time with me. I love each and every one of you. Y'all give me a lot of motivation that I normally would not have. I appreciate that. I'm having a good health week. I'm thankful for it. I hope next week is just as good because I get to see my baby girl after she graduates. I'm not able to go to graduation, unfortunately, because of the amount of walking and traversing the campus that I would have to do to get into the football stadium, and it's not worth it. Because then I would be down all the day she's in recuperating, and she was like, I would rather have you up when I'm home. So I'm going to watch it on the stream, and I'm going to try to catch her going across and getting her diploma. She's afraid they're going to absolutely just, I mean, she's like, my middle name has been just carnage all week. She's like, that nobody knows how to pronounce Genevieve. So it's been Geneva 2 out of 3 times they've practiced. So she's concerned that they're going to butcher her middle name, but we'll see. But I'm going to try to tape that one little spot to share with you all. And I don't show my daughter a lot because she's been living on a college campus. And I don't like, you know, she's beautiful. She's gorgeous. I don't know how I had such a beautiful young lady. But she was also on a college campus, and I didn't want to like broadcast anything about her and like put her on anybody's radar, if you know what I mean. But now that she'll be moving with her fiance and getting married and setting up home and stuff like that, I can actually be a little bit more open and share a little bit more about her. So y'all are going to get to meet Haley Genevieve over the next several months, and get to know her a little bit more, and possibly as well as you all know Lane. It's going to be safer for this mom to do that. So I'm going to be able to share a little bit more, and she's completely fine with that. She understood why I wasn't saying a lot with her being on a college campus. It was a safety concern. As a mom that was, you know, parole officer, supervised sex offenders and murderers, I did not want to broadcast her whereabouts and create a spotlight on her, because she, you know, that just scared me. But I'm going to be able to open that door for y'all soon. So that's going to be fun. She's a character. She came home last winter, and Lane was up the pine tree cutting the limbs down, and they were working in tandem. He'd drop a limb, yell, she'd run in and get the limb, drag it out. And she would use the smaller chainsaw and cut that one up while he'd drop another limb. And like my daughter she deer hunts. She'll help David in the fur shed. She's in vet school. So she's going to be working as a vet tech while she finishes up the remainder of the vet school stuff in Georgia with her soon-to-be husband. So she's super remarkably smart, intelligent young woman. Super snarky at times too. Definitely has many me moments that crack me up. But it's going to be really fun for y'all to get to actually meet and know about her. So I'm looking forward to sharing more about Haley with you. And Joe. Joe doesn't. He's fine. I can video and share anything. He's the sweetest boy. Both my kids found really good people to spend their lives with. So I'm just really happy about that. But we're going to be opening up like a new door for y'all. So y'all are going to get to know more about me. And there probably will be video from next week when they're in after graduation visiting. So I look forward to sharing that with you all. And I'm going to try to find positive stuff. Although I try to be positive even if I have to be negative. I'm going to try to find some funny positive stuff to do the next couple of days. I need to go down and help Mom with Granny again tomorrow. But this weekend, I'm hoping David has this weekend off. I'm hoping he has at least one day off. And if he does, we will try to do a live to say hi, because I know y'all miss him when he doesn't pop in. We're still working on a few things. We don't really have anything new to share at this time. I'm currently working on the pattern for the purses, for the fox and the possum purses that I'm going to make. So nothing new on that front, but I know that you all enjoy seeing us together. So if he has a day off this weekend, we will try to go live. He always looks forward to saying hi. And other than that, everybody try to have a good weekend. Smile more than you cry. Turn off the TV if it puts you in a crying state. Hug somebody fiercely. Just try to have the best days ever, because the only time you're given is the moment we're in right now. Focus on it. I'm going to shut up now. I love yous. Go to bed. I'm going to bed. Bye, y'all. Mama Liz out.